Namaskaram to all viewers of Jyotirmarg. Dear viewers, when the game of dice started in the Kaurava assembly, Yudhishthira offered a very precious garland of pearls as the first stake. Against this garland, Duryodhan offered several gold ornaments as stake. Thereupon, Shaguni tossed the dice in front of them, utilizing his wicked skills, and then laughing aloud, he said, "Look, look, I have won." After the pearl garland, Yudhishthira staked a treasury which had several pots of gold, and that was also lost. Thereafter, Yudhishthira offered his chariot, which was drawn by 8 magnificent horses of great speed. The wheels of the chariot as well as the horses of that chariot would never touch the ground. Once again, using unfair means, Shaguni won that chariot from Yudhishthira. 1 lakh trained and well-attired attendants with gold ornaments. This was Yudhishthira's next stake, which was also won by Shaguni. Again, Yudhishthira placed another 1 lakh attendants as stake, and that was also lost. Like this, Yudhishthira lost thousands of chariots, thousands of war elephants, several treasures of gold, and still he went on losing his wealth one after another. Every single time, Shaguni only won the game. And then all those who were present in that assembly realized that Shaguni is winning through unfair means. While this game was progressing like this, leading to dire consequences, Mahamantri Vidura approached King Dhritarashtra and appealed to him once again to ask his son Duryodhan to stop this game of dice immediately. Vidura said, "O king, my words may not be agreeable to you, just like the medicine being administered to a man whose death is imminent. Don't you remember, when this Duryodhan was born, he howled like a jackal and then brayed like a donkey, and there were several other ill omens also. Then you summoned learned Brahmins, scholars and astrologers who told you that the son of yours will be the cause of total destruction of your race. So they all in one voice advised you to abandon him. But instead of listening to their advice, you nurtured him well. And like a poisonous seed growing into a tree of strong roots, he is now ready to give the fruits of his and your karma as predicted by those seers at the time of his birth. So, O king, stop this game right now, because all who are present here is aware of the fact that Shaguni is skillfully cheating Yudhishthira and winning over him and his wealth one after another. As per the scriptures, for the sake of a family, a member may be sacrificed. For the sake of a village, a family may be sacrificed. For the sake of a province, a village may be sacrificed. And for the sake of one's own soul, the whole earth may be sacrificed. You know how the Yadavas, the Andakas and Bhojas joined together and abandoned Kamsa. Thereafter, at their command, Kamsa was slain by Krishna. After Kamsa was slain, they are all living happily now. So, O king, ask Arjun to slay this Duryodhan right now and here. At your command, that son of Kundi will accomplish it in no time. Once that wretch is slain, the rest of the Kurus can live in peace without the threat of self-destruction. O king, exchange this crow Duryodhan for the peacocks who are the Pandavas. Exchange this jackal Duryodhan for the tigers who are the Pandavas. Your son will never bring you happiness. You know that he is disobeying you now by playing this game of dice, but the Pandavas will never disobey you. You are allowing to continue with this game of dice for acquiring the wealth of the Pandavas. But with them on your side, you can amass many times more wealth compared to what you can win from them now. O king, why did you bring these Pandavas to Hastinapur? It is nothing but evil. You are supporting your son's wicked intentions. And remember, you cannot escape from the results of this Ashubha karma. Here, this game of dice is a confrontation between Dharma and Adharma. The individuals involved in this confrontation are not commoners. Instead, they are kings, monarchs, and a samrat. What comes in between is not a few cattle or a handful of gold. Unimaginable wealth and kingdoms and the lives of crores of individuals are involved. And above everything else, there are these 5 Pandava brothers, the eldest of them being Yudhishthira, the one and only samrat of Aryavarta. Then there is Bhim and Arjun and the twins. Remember, these 5 Pandavas will never be defeated, nor will they be killed by enemies in a war or combat. O king, using your advantage of being their father's brother, you have skillfully trapped and forced them into coming to Hastinapur and playing this deceitful game of dice. This is against their will. But they are doing this because they follow the path of Dharma and they will not disobey you, whom they have to treat and respect and obey as their own father. I am asking you, O king, and all the greats and gurus who are present here. If their father King Pandu were alive today, would this game of dice have taken place like this? O king, your son Duryodhan playing this game with Shaguni on his behalf is winning over the Pandavas, and you are very happy, and in your mind you are applauding your son. But beware, after this game there is going to be another game, and the name of that game will be war. Not an ordinary war, but a war beyond all dimensions. In that war, all those who are present here will be reduced to ashes by these 5 brothers. So stop this deceitful game right now. Return to the Pandavas all that has been won by this wicked Gandhara king Shaguni, and banish this wretch Shaguni and throw him out of the borders of this kingdom, because he is a traitor in disguise. He is acting against the interests of this kingdom. Traitors are to be sentenced to death or they should be banished. The Kaurava assembly trembled, listening to the truth in Vidura's words. But Duryodhan got angry like a mad bull, and at length he abused Vidura repeatedly for standing in his way and obstructing his plans. And then he ended his insulting speech like this: Vidura, you are like a parasite living with us. Your main objective in life seems to be demoralizing and eventually destroying us. If your support is always to the opposite side, then you are an enemy, and the enemy should not be allowed to live with us. So Vidura, you can leave us and go wherever you like. Meanwhile, the game of dice was progressing on the other side. O Yudhishthira, you have lost much of your wealth. What else do you have to put forward as stake? Yudhishthira said, Hey Shaguni, why are you keeping on asking for the details of my wealth? You may stake tens of thousands and millions, and tens of millions and hundreds of millions, and tens of billions and hundreds of billions and trillions, and tens of trillions and hundreds of trillions, and tens of quadrillions and hundreds of quadrillions, and even more. I have as much wealth to stake and much more than that also. With that wealth, you son of Subala, I shall play with you. Like that, the game continued, and over a period of time, Shaguni, by employing foul and unfair methods, won all the wealth, including the kingdom of the Pandavas. Thereupon, Shaguni said that Yudhishthira's brothers are his wealth, and so the game can continue with the Pandava brothers as stakes. Accordingly, a helpless Yudhishthira staked and lost Nagula first, then Sahadeva, and thereafter Arjun and Bhim also. Shaguni was not ready to stop there also. He said now, Yudhishthira can stake himself, and with his proficiency in deceit won that game also. Then that son of Subala said that for the last game, Yudhishthira can play with his wife Draupadi as the stake. Having no other option in his trapped and helpless situation, Yudhishthira agreed to Shaguni's demand to play with Draupadi as stake. On hearing this, unable to control their emotions, Bhishma, Drona and Vidura perspired, and they started sweating from their head to feet. Vidura sat with his head bent down and holding it with his hands on both sides. Dhritarashtra could not conceal his happiness. Who has won the game? He kept on asking. Karna, Dushasana and others around them cheered and laughed aloud, happily waiting for the outcome of the game. Then that Shaguni, expert in cheating in the game of dice, shuffled those cubes in the closed palm of his hand and threw them on the floor in front of him. And laughing aloud like the squealing and groaning of a hyena, Shaguni said, Lo, I have won the game. Thereupon, Duryodhan, having lost all his senses in his ecstasy, asked Vidura to go to the inner chambers and bring Draupadi to the assembly. She is now our servant, a dasi, said Duryodhan. Vidura said, You wretch, people like you will only speak things that are not to be spoken. And remember, every word that you speak now will bind you like the kalpash, or the cord of the god of death. You are like the bamboo plant which will flower only when it is time for it to become dry and then to die. Even hollow vegetables like gourds may sink in water and black stones may float in water, but this foolish son of Dhritarashtra will never listen to my words. Still, I am telling you this truth. Listen to it if you wish. Yudhishthira had lost himself, whereupon he became your slave. Thereafter, Shaguni forced him to play with Draupadi as stake. But after losing himself and becoming your slave, he cannot pledge Draupadi or use her as a stake. So, this last game with Draupadi as stake is not legitimate. She has not been won by you, and she is not your dasi or your slave, said Vidura. By then, intoxicated by his pride and his victory in the game of dice, Duryodhan said, Get lost, Vidura. Then he called his charioteer by name Pratikami and told him to go to the inner chambers of his palace and to bring his slave Draupadi to the assembly. And don't worry about her husbands, they are all my slaves now, said Duryodhan. Dear viewers, here ends this episode of our rendering of Rishi Vedavyasa's timeless epic Mahabharat. Hari Om.